I'd like you to imagine your dream life. See the version of you who has what you want to have, feels how you want to feel, and is who you want to be. I'm Brittany Hoops, your hypnotherapist and manifestation coach, and this is the show where I'll teach you to master the full power of your mind, to guide you on your journey towards destination manifestation.
Take a step back for the ones who can't do that.
Hello there. Welcome back to another episode of the Destination Manifestation Podcast. Wow, guys. I just don't even know what to say. It feels so good to be back with you. I miss talking to you. I was going to say talking with you. I wish I could hear you talk back to me, but alas, that is not what podcasts are. I miss the show. First off, I just want to give you kind of a big old thank you, just to kind of kick us off, for being so patient with me and this show. I know it's been a while. It's been about, I guess, 3 months or so since the last episode. And that's only really because I have been busy doing the exact thing that this show is about, which is manifesting. And I'm so excited to tell you all about that. Because I kid you not, just 3 days after my last episode dropped on July 11th, well, the last episode I think was July 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. On the 11th, I manifested my biggest, most beautiful desire. I don't know. I don't think any other manifestation can top this one in my life, but I would love for it to challenge it. But I gave birth to my baby girl. And yes, if you're like, wait, Brittany, that seems a little early. If that timing surprises you, it surprised me too, okay? I literally finished up. Here's how the day went on July 11th. Woke up just like it was any other day. I finished up a one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching session with a client. And then I got a call from my doctor, and she was like, yeah, we got your lab results. You need to go to the hospital like now. So we packed up our bags. I thought, I'll bring my hospital bag just in case I give birth. I needed it. We did not go home. So, my daughter, she arrived 4 weeks early, which good thing I'm a type A kind of person. Like my husband and I, it's so funny. I think the universe, orchestrates these things because my husband and I had just finished, I guess, let's see, that was the 11th. And that was, we left a couple days early. Yeah, that Wednesday, on that Monday. So just a few days before, I had just wrapped up a bunch of my clients. Like, we're both very type A. We finished our baby prep stuff about a month early. And I think it's very good that that happened because that's when she decided to arrive. So anyways, she arrived 4 weeks early. We are both thriving. It's honestly been such a whirlwind, but really in the kind of the best way possible since then. I am learning that folks are not lying when they say that your life gets turned upside down when you become a parent. Like that could not be any more truthful. I know I'd love being a mom. Like I always just knew I wanted to be a mom. But I don't think I realized like just how much I would love it. Like that I would love it this much. There's just kind of this, I mean, if you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about, but there's this new depth of love that just sort of opens up within you that like you didn't even know there was, that could even be there before. Like it feels like a trap door, like I discovered some sort of trap door in my heart that unlocked. And now there's like this whole new passageway that I never knew existed there. I don't know. It's just beautiful. I love it so much. And I love her so much. And I love our family. I love having a family like this. In fact, I saw a reel the other day of a hypnotherapist that I follow. And she said that becoming a parent is the best promotion that you could ever receive. It's a promotion in a sense. And I just really couldn't agree more. Yes, sure. A promotion, it comes with more responsibility, right? It takes more of your time, most likely, a higher paying job. But the payment is higher, right? The reward is greater too. And so if you've been following along with my journey through all of this, this manifestation, you'll know that this was a long time coming. It was 4 years in the making. So to finally be reunited with her, in the physical form, to no longer just dream of her in my inner mind, but just sort of hold her sweet little body in real life. Oh, it is just pure magic. So if you want to catch up, if you're like, Brittany, what are you talking about? And you're interested in how I manifested, this pregnancy and the birth and everything like that, I would call your attention to two past episodes. One, go back to episode 36. That's where I talk about my manifestation faith crisis during this process. And two, check out episode 56, 20 episodes later, where I share how I manifested becoming pregnant after years of infertility. And I'll link both of those episodes in the show notes. But she's here. That's where I'm at right now. I'm finally rounding the corner of what they call the fourth trimester, which is the first 3 months after birth, which, by the way, is the hardest time. It's the hardest trimester. They don't tell you that when you're pregnant because I don't think they want to scare you, but I'll be frank with you. The fourth trimester is the hardest one. It's okay. You'll get through it. But I've just been kind of like soaking in every second, every little coo, every smile, every baby snuggle. Like it's just so precious. And, because here's the thing. I think we have to remember as manifestors, we spend so much time living in the end, imagining our wish fulfilled, preparing for what we want before it shows up. But when it actually does show up, we have to make time to enjoy it. So I've been sitting with her, I've been feeding her, I've been rocking her. I'm just in awe. Like that's the best way I can describe it. It's real, it's happening, it's now. And like the crazy thing is, like she's growing so fast. Like I want to cry just thinking about it. Like she started out as this tiny little barely 6-pound chicken nugget that we spent 2 weeks in the NICU, making sure she could eat and making sure we could take her home. And now my husband and I call her our little chicken strip because she's just getting so big. She's growing so fast. Like sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, I swore her head grew overnight. Like I can tell certain body parts that were bigger than the day before, which just kind of cracks me up. But it's wild. You can spend years manifesting something and then you can watch it evolve right in front of your eyes. And, that process feels like it takes minutes. And it really has made me so much more intentional, I would say, than I've ever really been before. In fact, it actually kind of reminds me of when I was on Big Brother. I made it to Final Four. And when you make it to Final Four, which is about like, I don't know, in my case, it was about 100 or so plus days of being away from home. That's when you receive your video messages from your loved ones from back home. And by that point, I was missing my husband something awful. Like it physically hurt how much I missed him. And little known fact, production only lets you watch those video messages just 2 times. That's it. 2 times. And luckily they told us you will get the chance to watch this twice. And so I remember just sitting there in the Big Brother living room, watching this little 10-second clip, message from my husband, wanting so desperately to cry and really not really having much control over it. Tears came easy. And yet I was like refusing to blink because I didn't want to miss a single second of the video. I mean, have you ever open-eyed cried before? This was the first time I had ever done that. I was like, like if you're watching the video of this, it's not a pretty sight. I was like open eye crying. It's very awkward, but that's how I feel now with my daughter. Like I'll look at newborn pictures of her and I'll see how much she's grown already. And like the tears just come because like adult time, this teaches you that time is relative, right? Quantum mechanics at its finest. Adult time is very different than baby time. Like 3 months to adult, that's nothing. That's a quarter, in business terms. But in baby time, like everything changes in 3 months. So even though I miss that like tiny, scrunchy little red newborn version of her, I also don't want to miss who she is today. Like I kind of got to cry with my eyes open here. And, enjoy it along the way. Now, what I will say, what is interesting is that for the first time in 4 years, my body is like fully my own again, which I appreciate. I will say that. I went to a doctor's appointment recently, and the doctor was like, "So what are you doing for birth control?" And I just kind of like froze. I was like, birth what? Like what? I literally forgot that birth control was a thing. I haven't even thought about birth control for 4 years. Like there was no birth to control. I was trying to control it the other way, right? But getting to focus on just sustaining my own life within my body and not having to share it with any other beings, has really made me really excited to focus on my next manifestation, which is, as I'm sure you can tell from the title of this episode, releasing excess weight. Now, I don't like to say lose weight or weight loss, and not out of some like superstitious thing or anything but words have power and words matter. I personally don't call it weight loss because typically when you lose something, you usually try to go find it again. And I have no plans of finding this weight again once I lose it. So I kind of like to think of it sort of as a loving release, a farewell, Thank you for doing what you had to do and for being here, but we're good. I'm ready to say goodbye to you now. It's fine, right? A release. Now, I will say this. Before I got pregnant, I was just kind of starting to figure out what really worked for my body. I had tried kind of a new pattern of eating and had seen some success with it, felt really good with it with my PCOS. And I'll correct myself. I won't say my PCOS, the PCOS. Again, another thing I am no longer needing to take ownership over, right? And I just sort of figured that out. And what 3 months later is when I got pregnant for real, and it stuck. So I just kind of was like, oh, this is kind of what's working for me. And so, I want to get back there. I want to get back on that train, both for myself and if I were ever to decide to have another baby, which jury is still out on that. Right now, it's kind of hard for me to even imagine. Like, she is my whole world. Like, really? I could have another child? Like, that would also be my world? Like, I already have my whole world. She's here. It's hard for me to imagine, but it's a possibility. I do know that if I were to get pregnant, I would want to be in a different place physically than I was before, what I would deem a healthier place. And not that physical size is an indicator of health. We know now that it isn't. But for me personally, that's how it was reflected. And so I would know that I would want to be in a different starting place, which means that I need to work on that now if I want that to be an option, right? So I'm excited to talk with you guys about this manifestation journey because this is honestly one of the most common things I work on with one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching clients. In fact, I was kind of relieved when I decided that this was my next manifestation because I was like, oh, I got this. Like, I just need to focus on that. I hadn't been focusing on it very much before, which is why I hadn't manifested it yet. Now I'm going to focus on it. I've helped so many people do this. I guess that helps my own belief with it. I'm like, oh, I can do this because I've helped so many people do this. I know what to do. I just got to do it. Right. And so I've helped a lot of hypnotherapy and coaching clients with this. It's one of the most requested topics inside my Manifested Me Vault, which is my hypnotherapy audio subscription library. And so I'm like, okay, this is something that I know you guys out here might be interested in too. Personally, to start this journey, I've been walking daily. I've been eating intentionally. I've been doing what I know works for myself. I've been doing that subconscious mindset work that I know works. And guess what? I'm already down 18 pounds, which is pretty doggone exciting. So the journey's just getting started for me. I'm so excited to talk about how you can do this too. If this is something that you've been wanting to manifest, how you can release what's no longer serving you, and you can manifest your ideal body. That is what we are going to be focusing on here today. Okay? So let's dive in. Now, we know that a core tenet that governs manifestation is embodiment. And manifesting your ideal body is the prime example of this, right? Embodiment, meaning you have to feel it in your body. You have to become it. And then, and only then, will you begin to see it reflected in your external reality as a result, right? And the same goes for manifesting more health, more energy, your ideal weight. You must become your ideal self internally before your body begins to reflect that form externally. It's kind of like planting a seed in the ground. You become this version of you. I like to call her manifested me. You all know this by now. This version of you whose physical vessel looks or feels a certain way. That's like the seed, right? And once that seed has been planted in your fertile subconscious mind soil, you're going to water it, you're going to nourish it, you're going to allow it to grow. And soon enough, the physical embodiment that changes in your physical body will be that little plant that just begins to, sprout through the surface. And when it sprouts through the surface of the subconscious mind, that's the part that we can now see it with our 3D physical eyes. And so this is why subconscious reprogramming is so valuable when it comes to manifesting our ideal bodies. You're going to have to feel it, become it before your body will follow. The physical manifestation of your ideal body is the caboose on the train, okay? It is the final step that's going to swoop on in at the very end. And I really stress this, and I know you know this already, but are you hearing me? Do you really know it? Because that means you're going to have to feel a certain way without seeing the results. And that's especially important when it comes to manifesting your ideal body because it is so physical. Like it is your body. There's nothing more physical than that. And so that means you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to see one thing and you're going to have to feel something different for a while in order for what you see to change. And that can be tricky for some people. I want you to wrap your head around it, that's how you do it. If you're thinking one thing and seeing another for a while, that means you're doing it right. Even though every fiber of your being is going to tell you that it's wrong because you're like, what do you mean? I'm looking in the mirror. I'm seeing, a body that looks like this. That does not mean you're doing it wrong. Okay? It's the final step that swoops in at the end. And this is where most people get tripped up. You can't wait until you have your dream body to feel like the version of you that's healthy and vibrant and strong and lean or whoever and whatever you want to be. It's the opposite. It's the other way around. You have to be it first, feel it first, and then the body will follow. Well, you might be saying to me, well, Brittany, how can I feel that way when I look at the scale and it says a number that I don't want to see? Or if I feel my thighs rubbing together when I walk, or, I think of that one because I live in Texas and, thigh chafing is real, okay? Or maybe you feel yourself, out of breath when you go up the stairs or whatever it might be. I know it's tough. And you know why I know it's tough? Because your body goes with you wherever you go. You cannot escape your body. I mean, you can. If you do transcendental hypnotherapy, that's one way to escape your body. That's kind of the nice thing about going into your inner mind is that you get to be in this other place that's not physical. But, in your day-to-day living, waking life, you cannot escape your body, okay? So you can't or shouldn't, I say, if you want to be your healthiest self, ignore it because your body's always there. You see it every time that you pass in front of a mirror. In fact, typically, ignoring your body is what is contributing to the problem. It leads to abusing it and no longer caring for it because ignoring is a form of abuse. We usually don't ignore things that we love and care for, right? So at least if you're manifesting something like more money, you might be able to avoid checking your bank account for a few days. Just don't log in to your account, right? You don't see it. Boom. Manifesting your body requires a different and a more skilled level of focus since you can't just ignore the body that you're in. You're in it 24/7. So a great exercise that I like to do here to feel like manifested me, the version of me who's already released that excess weight that no longer serves me, is I like to find her within me now. Because believe it or not, she's already there. She's within you too. He or she is within you too. She's within you right now. It's almost like when I do this practice, it's almost like I can feel her form like glowing within me. And anything that isn't a vibrational match to true me, okay? There's true me, and then there's anything that isn't true me. And what isn't true me is the excess that I'm willing to release. The best way I can describe it is kind of like, it feels like It feels like true me, ideal manifested me is wearing a snowsuit right now. Like this bodysuit I'm in, like it's part snowsuit. And there's like ideal version body of me. And then there's the snowsuit excess part of me. Or like I'm the Michelin man. Or I'm wearing one of those like puffy baby Merlin's sleep sacks, right? All that excess weight. And I don't mean just physical. It's also mental aspects that are excess weight mentally that are no longer aligned to true you. They're like this puffy snowsuit that you're wearing that's currently surrounding the real true you's form. And so every day you have to find ways to mentally and physically release that excess, to take off the snowsuit, to feel into what is true and what you want to keep, and to what's no longer needed and what you want to release. And so the real trick becomes, can you feel into the difference of those two different vibrations? The first step is to identify what is real and true you versus what is the excess that you are ready to release in your life. And the beautiful thing is, even if you consciously aren't aware of what that is, your subconscious mind already knows. In fact, your subconscious mind, it has the blueprint. It knows what you've been holding on to that has led to this excess weight. And so you have to begin to know and feel that difference. So in hypnotherapy, I'll go body part by body part. I'll feel into my toned arms that are currently within my current arms. I'll feel into my strong, tight, toned abs that are underneath my current skin. I may not be able to see them yet with my physical eyes, but I see them with my inner eyes. And more importantly, I feel what they feel like in my body. And so this is an exercise that you can use to practice to start to tune in to the form that already exists within your own body. Your body has the blueprint. Thinner, stronger, leaner, healthier, more energized you is already within your current body. And your job then simply becomes to release anything that isn't a match to that. That's all the work is. That's why we call it weight release. Tune into the vibration of who you truly are and to manifested you in her body, and then release anything that isn't that. That's why I call it sculpting the self, right? Just how a woodworker may start with like a block of wood, and then in order to carve a statue, he's going to chip away at that excess to reveal his creation. And you're doing the same here as you manifest your ideal body. It's either a match to true you or it isn't. And if it isn't, it needs to be released. And this mentality can apply to literally anything. Okay? Is that food a match to true manifested you? If yes, eat it. If no, choose what is instead. Is that relationship a match to true manifested you? If yes, be with that person. Enjoy it. If no, spend time with someone who is. Apply it to literally everything in your life. Lately, when I've been going out to restaurants or ordering in food, right, I'm just going to scan the menu and I'm just looking for matches. I'm just in that vibrational place of manifested me. And I'm just like, is this match? Is this match? Is this match? And a lot of times it's like this. That's how you know it's subconscious, right? It's this gut feeling. It's this intuitive feeling. You just know if it's a match and you know if it isn't. You scan the menu and I'm like, no. Yeah, this is what manifested me would eat. And so then that's ding, ding, ding. It's a match. That's what I order. And as you do this, you'll begin to see what elements of life truly are excess. And once you release that weight, well, then the physical weight on your body will follow suit. In fact, I just did this sort of matching, honing process in a really big way recently. And I figured that this topic that I'm about to go into will come up. So I'm just going to share this story. A lot of people are talking about GLP-1s, right? Semaglutides. Maybe you've heard it called Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound. Like there's a bunch of different kinds, right? You name it. And I'm not going to lie. I looked into that too. I mean, path of least resistance, whatever floats your boat, use whatever you want or need and feels aligned to you, right? So I was like, hey, let's look into this. But something about it, when I really just kind of honed in and did this vibrational matching sort of process, something about it just didn't feel aligned to me right now. I did a lot of vibrational matching with this, feeling into the vibration of the semaglutide and then feeling into the vibration of my manifested me self and seeing if there was a match here, seeing if was this on the path to her? Like, and intuitively knowing at the subconscious level, like, was this part of the path? Is this the direction that I go? And right now, there wasn't. When I felt into the vibration, now this is my own interpretation of vibration, right? Your interpretation of your own vibration is going to be different. But when I felt into the vibration of it, there was hesitation. Like, it didn't feel like an aligned tool of co-creating my ideal body, right? It felt like this external thing that was pulling me from that self-trust. And and I'm going to just tell you this, I'm not one of those anti-medicine, anti-science people. Like, no, I am all for that. My blood pressure medicine that I'm on postpartum after having severe preeclampsia, that feels very aligned right now. Okay. When I take that, that feels very aligned. But something about the semaglutides for me, okay, it could be different for you. That's why you have to do the vibrational matching for yourself. Something about that seemed to disconnect me from trusting my own process. And so I decided, no, I'm going to put that on pause for now. Now, that is not to say that GLP-1s might not be aligned for you. I spent a lot of time on like the Zet-bound Reddit reading amazing success stories from people and thinking how lucky those people found this tool that aligned with them and helped them get where they wanted to go. Like, that is awesome, right? But I'm telling you that nothing, like everything in life, nothing is a magic bullet, okay? I personally know people in my life. I also have worked with a handful of clients where they came to me after being on GLP-1s because they were kind of sold this false bill of goods that it's this like magical solution, and it didn't work for them, right? And so why I say this is that you can take those medicines and not lose a single pound too. They don't replace your mindset. I mean, I'm not calling them placebos because they aren't. There are real things that help satiate appetite and, calm inflammation, things like that, right? But there is a certain element to all external modalities that we may use in any sort of manifestation, medicines included, that have this expectation effect, the placebo effect of when you go on the Reddit and you see people losing hundreds and hundreds of pounds and you see so many success stories, it then sets your expectation up that will happen for you. And therefore it influences your belief. And therefore you create those similar results in yourself, right? So mindset still plays a role in all of this too. And it can also work the other way. I've seen many clients, they're like, I started taking these medicines. They told me it was going to help me lose this weight, and it still isn't. And so now they realize, oh, I need to work on my mindset along with that too. So, you know, just throwing that out there. Okay. I personally am having success releasing weight, or at least the 18 pounds so far, right? Without that assistance. So it feels more aligning for me to just stick with that route right now, right? And you're only going to know that if you do that vibrational matching activity that I spoke of before. How else might you be able to embody your manifested you self right now? Here's a big one. Take the dang picture. You know what I'm talking about, okay? This comes up a lot. It is so easy when you were inhabiting a body that isn't a vibrational match to true you just yet, that you want to avoid being in photos if you don't really like how your current body looks. I know personally, my mom struggled and still struggles with her weight, and she has struggled with her weight her entire adult life. And how that resulted and manifested is that she rarely took pictures with us growing up because she didn't like how she looked in them. Okay. And for me, it's sad. It's sad to like look through the photo albums and see very few pictures of us together. I do cherish the few that we have. And, I don't want that to be the case with my daughter. And that has been really tough. I'm not going to lie. Because I know manifested me would love how I looked in that photo and would love having a photo with my daughter. That a photo of how you look in a photo, like that's only one piece of taking a photo. It's the memory behind it. It's the joy. It's the love. Like she's going to look at that photo and love it. And no matter how I look, no matter what size I would be. And so I want that photo to exist for her and for me. I want us to have that recollection, that physical manifestation of that moment together, right? And it's not necessarily an easy thing to do postpartum. It's definitely an area I'm still working on. My eyes, will automatically sort of zero in on those areas of my body that I haven't changed yet, that I want to change, right? And so My personal goal is to take that picture and like it. So far, I've done about 50% of it. I'm taking it at least, right? And I'm learning to like it. That's the mindset work, right? But here's the thing. I'm not going to wait until I look a certain way to like it. I'm going to like it, and then I'll look a certain way. That's what the reversing process, right? That's how we got to reverse it. That's what it means to embody it first. I'm not erasing myself anymore, right? I'm showing up as manifested me would show up. And when you show up how manifested you would show up, you will begin to look like manifested you, okay? That's how you take those steps in the right direction. Now, as you do this work, you might begin to realize a lot that of what is no longer a vibrational match to manifested you are the thoughts, the ideas, the attitudes that you've been practicing for years. And that, in actuality, they might not even be your own. Okay. I know I mentioned my mom before. She's always been very vocal about her negative body image, had always been that way to us kids growing up. In fact, I remember when I was 5 years old, she sort of appointed me her diet coach. And my job, it was a fun little game that we played, right? My job was to catch her and tell her not to eat certain foods if she was eating them and to cheer her on as she exercised. And she basically wanted me to be her accountability buddy for her diet. Okay. But I was a kid, right? I was 5. My only job was to be a kid, not to police what my mother ate and to motivate her to work out, That should have been a job for her girlfriends. That should have been a job for a personal trainer. That should have been a job for a hypnotherapist, not for a child, okay? And so even to this day, I've had to sort of continually reiterate again and again and again, just setting those boundaries constantly, that body image and weight loss, they are simply not topics that her and I see eye to eye on. Therefore, it's not an area of my life, and especially my brand new daughter's life, that we're going to talk about or share together. Because I recently realized so much of how I spoke to myself about my own body wasn't my voice that I was hearing in my head, it was hers. I was hearing how she spoke to her body, only that's how I was speaking to my body, because that's what I witnessed growing up. In my own subconscious mind, I was parroting the way she talked to herself. I was mirroring that language to myself because that's what I learned as a child. That's how, I learned that, that's how you talk to your body. And then you grow up and you do that. And so you can begin to see the kind of cycle that this can create, right? You talked poorly to your body. You don't think it's worthy of being taken care of. So then you don't take care of it and you put on weight. It happened to her. And then when I thought those same exact thoughts that she thought, it happened to me too. And therefore, I manifested an overweight body. And that's really important to realize, okay? Anyone who thought these thoughts would have manifested that. That's what the thoughts manifest. So you've heard me say this before. From the ages from about 0 to 7 or 8 years old, children are pure subconscious minds. They haven't developed that critical faculty of mind that is the conscious mind yet. So kids, they're just like these little sponges that soak in everything around them, everything they hear, everything they see modeled around them. They look towards their caregivers or other people in the world to let them know how to operate. And I need to say this because I know it can come off as harsh. I really am not sharing this as a way to shame my mother. I know she did the very best that she could. I empathize because I work with people every single day who struggle with that same sort of self-talk as well. But it's important for us to realize on this manifestation journey that it is not enough to say one thing and then to do or to think another. Okay, that's incongruent. We've been talking about vibrational matches, not a vibrational match. And to have this realization, to know how our subconscious minds work and how they develop throughout childhood and how much they shape our adult life later on is so important. It's been very eye-opening, especially to me as a new mom. Okay, it's not enough for me to tell my daughter that she's perfect the way that she is. I have to demonstrate it through my actions if I want her to learn and to feel that way herself one day. My mother, she'd always comment on how nice and young and thin and slim I was. Lots of really beautiful comments. She always said very nice things to me, okay? And how I was nothing like her, all these things. And I really think, I know the intention. I know her and I know the intention behind it. I think she thought that was very nice and helpful. I think she would love if somebody would have said that to her. So she thought, well, I'll say this to my daughters and this will be a good thing, right? I think my mom thought she was doing the right thing by telling me that I was thin and that I wasn't like her. But children of any age, their subconscious minds can recognize the incongruent nature of the words that they may hear or be told versus the actions that they witness. It was incongruent to hear that my body type was desirable, but my mother's wasn't. Because to me as a kid, I thought she was perfect. She hung the moon. She could do no wrong. She was perfect in my eyes. So to hear her talk about herself as if she wasn't, or to insinuate that I'm young and thin seemed to suggest that one day when I'm not young, I won't be thin. That some magical day I'll no longer be as I am and I'll be like her and I should not like my body anymore when that happens. Okay? That was the lesson that was being demonstrated through action. So, I want you to examine the way that you talk to yourself, your internal dialogue, the way that you talk to your body, the thoughts that sort of flit across your mind when you step in front of the mirror. And ask yourself, whose thoughts are these? Where have I heard this before? Where did I first hear this? And maybe that internal dialogue, it's pretty crazy. This is an NLP technique I've talked about on the show before. That internal dialogue might even sound like someone familiar. It might even sound like someone in your own mind. In my case, on my worst body image days, I realized that I'm talking to myself like my mother talked and frankly still talks to herself. Because kids don't learn only from words. They learn from demonstrated action. They learn and internalize what they see and what they hear. As they say, actions speak louder than words. You can't tell a child one thing and then do something different. It's incongruent. It doesn't match. It's not a vibrational match. So the best way that you can teach and guide your children is to be the embodiment of who you want them to be. Again, we're coming back to embodiment, right? Walk your talk. Knowing what I know about how the subconscious mind develops, it's my goal, and I know I won't be perfect at it, but it is my goal to love myself the way that I want my daughter to learn to love herself. Because she doesn't learn how to love herself just because I give lip service and tell her to, right? That's part of it. It's helpful, but it's not the whole story. She's going to learn to love herself and her body by witnessing myself love myself and my body. So ask yourself, the thoughts I have about my body, where are they from? Who did they sound like? Where did I first hear them? And you may come to the startling realization that those aren't even your thoughts. In fact, I find it helpful to even sort of name the voice. Maybe it is your mom's voice. Maybe you can't trace the voice back to one specific person. Maybe it was just society's voice or social media's voice. Maybe you decide to give the voice a nickname like Critical Katie, I don't know, making it up, right? Really paint a picture of it as separate from you. Because when you realize that it is separate from you, and frankly it is, because all thoughts are separate from you, you are not your thoughts, this can be the most freeing realization once you have it. Because once you realize that, you can then ask yourself, well, then what are my thoughts about myself? If you were like me when I first realized this, you may have zero idea. You may have no clue. But that's the great thing. When you don't know, that means you get to create it from scratch. That's when you get to decide. I don't think I had ever thought for myself before. I just continuously parroted what I had learned and heard for so long. I never had enough awareness to actively choose what I wanted to think about myself up until that point, up until hypnotherapy. And that's when we get to decide what we wanted to do. Manifested you, true you, the version of you that already glows within you. What does she think about her body? Because those are the thoughts that you're going to choose now. And I would tell you this process, it's been so fun, to realize that you get to decide this. Because this realization, the realization that you've adopted your caregiver's thoughts or society's thoughts, once you realize it, then it becomes your responsibility to let those old, unhelpful thoughts go. This is not a blame game. Okay? I don't blame my mother for the way I've been thinking about my body. Not anymore. I can have compassion for myself and for her. I can have compassion for her that she was doing the best that she could. Okay? She didn't realize the impact that her own poor body image had on her children. I think she just thought it was just hers to deal with. She didn't know that it would be taught to us. I know her. She loves us very deeply. She would have, if she would have realized that, then she would have done more to change it. Or if she did ever realize it, she didn't have the resources, the energy, the motivation, whatever she needed to put in the work to overcome it. Okay? She tried to give me the love and the compliments that she couldn't give herself. And so I can have compassion for myself as well with this, that I was merely parroting what I had witnessed and heard. That's how a child's mind works. And you will continue to repeat that pattern until you realize it and undo it. And that's what this work is, right? This manifestation, this subconscious reprogramming, this hypnotherapy work is. I didn't realize the programming that was at play until I did the hypnotherapy. And I can have even more compassion for myself that now that I have this awareness, now that the unconscious is now conscious, I can make a new choice. My inner talk track is not my mother's responsibility. It's mine. I'm the mom now. Literally. So let's come up with your new talk track. That's what subconscious reprogramming is all about. The programming, you reprogram it, meaning you come up with a new story, a new talk track. You throw out the programming that was unconscious to you all those years and you replace it with something you actively chose and choose instead. And if you ever do notice those old thoughts coming up again, they just don't have the same power over you. Like you don't fall for them like you used to because you know where they're coming from now. Like it just doesn't matter. I know Abraham Hicks always says this. Like if somebody called you and said, out of the blue, some random person called you and out of the blue and said, I'm never going to call you ever again. You'd be like, okay. Like it just doesn't have power over you anymore. If that voice starts talking to you again, you're just like, oh, like, okay, fine. You don't fall for it like you used to because you know where it's coming from now. You know it's not you. You just say, okay, mom, I hear you. But I'm picking this thought instead now. You think that, but I don't think that. Or you just be like, there's critical Katie going off again, blabbing on. No, thank you. And then you redirect to what you want to choose instead. I want to say this because those old thoughts will most likely occasionally come up. And I want you to know that you're not failing when you think the old thoughts. Really, you're winning every time you notice them and then you choose differently instead. That's the winning. That's what it means to heal in real time. Because when you do that, you're choosing awareness over going on autopilot. You're choosing compassion over critiquing yourself. You're choosing intention over inheritance. In fact, you might even want to write that little voice a letter. That's really helpful. It's a very helpful exercise. Tell it everything you've always wanted to say. Lord knows it's shared its thoughts with you for far too long. Now it's time to share your thoughts with it. Tell it why it can't continue to talk in your head anymore. This can be incredibly cathartic. In fact, it's kind of a version of, parts therapy that we might do in hypnotherapy, where we can speak to it and let it know what we think. One of the best way that you can develop habits of new thought is by reprogramming your subconscious mind using these techniques that we use in hypnotherapy, repeating affirmations, which are essentially new thoughts, so that becomes the programming in your mind now. Visualizing yourself as manifested you with your ideal body. One of my favorite little exercises is to go on TikTok or Instagram. And what I'll do is I'll find clothing that I really, really love. Like I'll find people who have the body type or the fashion style that I'm manifesting. I'll see the outfits that they wear, and then I'll save those posts that resonate with me. And then before I do a hypnotherapy session, I'll pull up one of those posts and I'll mentally put on that outfit that I, have saved. I'll visualize myself in my ideal body wearing that garment. Maybe I'll change the color of it. I'm big into color theory. I'm a deep autumn. If you haven't noticed, everything that I wear is deep autumn. So I'll change it to deep autumn colors. I'll visualize my haircut. Maybe I'll wear that out, see where I'm wearing the outfit to. I'll see myself in that environment. And it sort of gives me a mental image to latch onto. It's kind of like a visualization starting point as I head into that session. It's like vision boarding and hypnotherapy are kind of combined into one. Or you can let your subconscious mind just sort of come up with the picture. I often will see an image of myself like a year from now at the beach in Seaside, Florida, one of my favorite places, with my 1-year-old daughter. And, we're getting family pictures taken on the beach. And I look so good. I love that picture. And not because I look a certain way in the picture. I love the picture because it holds memories that I really love. And that's what I notice first, but beyond anything else. And then I begin to look at my body and I'm like, oh, she looks good too. Right? I see how I've transformed my body over the past year. And that mental image just sort of pops up naturally into my imagination. Your imagination exists in the subconscious mind. I see myself on the beach. I'm looking great in the swimsuit. I'm building sandcastles with my girl. So you might decide to come into a hypnotherapy session with an image. You might just kind of see what inspiration strikes you in the moment. Either is fine. Both are fine. They both help you to reprogram your mental image of yourself. Also, I want to say that forgiveness is a big piece of all of this. Once you have the realization that maybe the way that you've been talking to yourself is the way that was passed along to you, either by a family member, social media, society, whoever, or whatever it may be, it is kind of completely natural to go through stages of anger, mourning, grieving, frustration. I mean, it's tempting to beat up yourself and be like, why didn't I realize this sooner? Like, once it becomes conscious to you, you kind of thought it's easy to think it was always conscious to you, to realize like, oh, no, that was unconscious. Like, if it was conscious to you, you would have done something about it, but it wasn't. But now it is, so you can, right? Like, it can feel like your agency might have been taken away by these unconscious processes, or to feel anger or resentment towards the people who pass down their belief systems to you. Like, why do I have to be the one that breaks the cycle here, to do that reprogramming work, to take the time to go through this journey to choose a different thought? Because it's not always an easy process, but it's worth it. Like, why couldn't they have done that work? Why didn't they sign up for the hypnotherapy, right? So that they didn't have to pass those thoughts down to me. Like, I'm sure I'm gonna screw up something with my daughter, but doggone it, she's not gonna have to heal from this, right? No one wants to play generational hot potato, right? Like, if that comes up, I want you to have even more compassion for yourself. You're not just feeling your own pain here. You're feeling the weight of all the family members, the women who couldn't or didn't do what you're now doing. Now, this is where I find it especially helpful to do a lot of cord cutting hypnotherapy sessions for this. Okay? What you do in those kind of hypnotherapy sessions is cutting the energetic ties to all that old excess, to that person, to those thoughts, to the detrimental habits, to the attitudes, cutting whatever, no longer serves you, cutting that energetic cord to it, and then just flooding it with so much love. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to cut out that thing from your life, although you certainly might decide that it's no longer in alignment for you now, but it's acknowledging that the past is the past, truly. And celebrating, now that you have this awareness, it is officially done. There's no more repeating of it. It's done. I know that's such a simple thought, like, duh, the past is the past. It's done. But like, when you stop repeating it in your subconscious mind, that's when it's officially done. That's why it feels so weird when people's like, the past is the past. It's done. And you're like, it still very much feels alive to me. That's because your subconscious mind is playing it on a loop, on repeat, years and years and years later. Can I tell you how many people I work with that are living in their past? Their past isn't the past. Their past is very much the present moment because it's looping continuously in their mind. If you want the past to be the past, that means it has to be done now, done on the subconscious level. Okay? I had that moment the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, all of this dieting talk, it's finally done. Like the relief that you feel when it's quiet and it's done, the beating up on yourself, the constant questioning, the feeling less than, it's done. Thank God it's done. Like, that's what happens when you do this work. Whew. It was such a relief to be like, oh, thank you. Like, that was so tiring. And then When you have that realization, you can ask yourself, if it's done, where do I go from here? Sure, you can't make up for lost time. I held a lot of anger at the beginning of this process to the fact that I wish so badly that I wish I would have realized this like all in my younger 20s. Like I would have loved to have been done with it in my younger 20s. I could have saved myself 15 years of suffering and yo-yo dieting if I had. But regret, anger, however you may feel about it, it's now your job to let that move through you so that you can release that too. That's part of the excess weight. Your subconscious mind is so primed to hold on to those things. So you got to keep modeling and practicing the release, the letting go, the cord cutting, the forgiveness, the love, the compassion. It's like training a puppy to pee on a pee pad, right? When it starts to pee on the carpet, when you start to think those old thoughts, you pick it up, you bring it over to the pad, you say, no, do it here instead. And you have to do that again and again and again until it learns. And we have to do the same with our subconscious reprogramming. If you start to notice yourself throwing a pity party for what could have been, nope, bring yourself back to forgiveness. Show your mind that it's safe to feel this way instead. Show yourself that it's safe to let go of all this and to move on and to choose something new. So, to manifest your ideal body, we've talked about several things here, right? Embodiment, tapping into the blueprint of the body that already exists within you, releasing anything and everything that isn't that, including the voices, the thoughts, the talk tracks about yourself that you may have unconsciously adopted from others along the way. Forgive it all. Replace that programming with thoughts that match who you truly are so that your physical body can then follow suit. And actually use tools, like social media to help you visualize the body that you're sculpting. I want to address one more thing that's a big piece of this too, okay? Dieting. Let's just play a little game. I say the word dieting. Feel into the vibration of that. You're going to have a different vibration to the word diet than I'll have. But a lot of us actually do share very similar vibrations, okay? Here's the thing. I don't want you to diet. Okay? I want you to become the version of you who inhabits that body that you want to move through the world in. What? Here's the thing that comes up a lot with manifestation. People ask me, well, does that mean that you have to take certain actions then? Sure. When we get aligned to our manifestations, no matter if we're manifesting our ideal body or manifesting a new job or a car or a soulmate, like whatever we want to manifest, when you get aligned to that intended outcome, you're going to be inspired to action. We're physical beings in a physical world. Actions take place. But dieting, when you tune into the vibration of that word, what is the vibration of a diet to you? Now, I'm going to speak for myself. To me, it's the vibration of restriction, of not having what you want to have, of looking longingly over at something, of separation, of scarcity. That is a very low vibration, okay? It's also not the vibration of manifested me. When I tune into true me, manifested me, those vibrations don't exist. So dieting may mean something different to you, but most of my weight loss clients experience a similar feeling and vibration towards dieting. Therefore, it's not in alignment to manifested you. Therefore, it doesn't work. And so when you take action from a diet mentality, a misaligned mentality to manifested you, those actions are going to feel really hard. They're going to feel bad. You're not going to want to stick with them. You don't have that positive aligned momentum on your side helping you, okay? You have to find that energy elsewhere. When you aren't hooked up with the universe, where are you going to find the energy to do all this hard stuff? So most of us turn to willpower. Ooh, okay, I don't have alignment to power me. What else can power me? Ooh, willpower. Let's use that. But guess what? Willpower is limited. It dries up pretty quick. It lasts you for about 2 weeks at the start of January, and then you're running on empty by the end of the month, right? Okay? But once you start reprogramming your subconscious mind to think as manifested you thinks, you'll have alignment. You'll have positive momentum power, and that will be flowing. And once you have that positive momentum flowing, I want you to siphon that energy to fuel your actions. Use that energy to fuel the choices that you're going to make for your body and to the foods that you eat, the beverages you drink, the way you move your body. Like for me, I personally find it very beneficial to pair this mindset work with the physical work, the physical action, the exercise. So you work out your body, let's work out our minds. Most traditional dieters, they're just working on the body, okay? And that's why it never sticks for very long. Hypnotherapy is the mental workout. Personally, I've always loved the mental workout more than the physical. I always have. So it's very motivating for me to pair them. It also saves you a lot of time. So what I'll do is I'll hop on the treadmill. I'll listen to manifestation audiobooks, manifestation TikToks, YouTube videos, podcasts like this one, right? Here's an advanced technique that I like to do. And I only really recommend this if you feel safe while doing it, okay? Listen to me. Only do it if it's safe. And ideally, you'd be quite an advanced meditator or you'd be very advanced at meditation or hypnosis before you would attempt this. So only do it safe and comfortable. But what I'll do is I'll do a hypnotherapy audio session as I'm walking on the treadmill. So not on like an outside walk in my neighborhood. I just happen to buy a treadmill for my house in my home gym. I know that's a very safe environment. I know no one's going to bother me there. I'll clip on that little emergency clip to my pants on the treadmill. I keep my eyes open as I do it because I've done so much hypnosis by now that I can go deep even with my eyes open. And I'll do the session as I'm getting my steps in. It's very motivating. Manifesting your ideal body on the mind and the body level at the very same time. Using that positive momentum to create that flywheel effect. That's manifestation in action. Now, I hope this is a lot. I know it's a lot. I hope it's a lot in a good way. I hope this is very helpful for you today, okay? I'm going to keep sharing these tools and techniques that I'm using as I manifest this ideal body, okay? Honestly, you can use everything we talked about today for any manifestation you have. Health, weight release, money, business, it's all the same processes, okay? You just apply it to whatever area feels aligned for you. And the big thing, I would say this is what I want to leave you with. The thing that makes the biggest difference in all this is getting that positive momentum going. That's the fuel that needs to be generated. And this kind of momentum is created through alignment, universal alignment, right? Abraham Hicks always talks about this idea of hopping on the merry-go-round of momentum. You got to find a way to get on that merry-go-round, even as it's spinning, right? And it's so true. Once you get that energy flowing, everything else just starts to feel so much easier. Now, dieting in its traditional sense typically doesn't hold the vibration of ease. I don't know very many people that are like, ooh, diet, ease. Like, usually those aren't paired, okay? Therefore, I don't want you to diet because it's not the vibration of ease. I want you to find positive momentum to fuel those actions instead. And the easiest way to build that momentum is by starting with your subconscious mind. When you reprogram the beliefs underneath the surface, then those daily actions, what you eat, how you move, how you talk to yourself, they stop feeling like a struggle. You're tuned into the vibration of ease. Now, most people always try to do it from the conscious mind level, okay? They push, they rely on willpower, like we talked about before, and eventually that runs out. But when you get this deeper programming shift, you're no longer relying on that limited tank of willpower anymore. You're drawing from the never-ending well of alignment. And that's when those little daily choices begin to become second nature. That's when it feels like ease. You eat the way manifested you eats. You move like she moves. You hydrate, you rest, you care for yourself like she does. Not how your mom did, not how the influencer told you to, but how you are actively choosing to. It's those micro moments that then start to stack up and completely change your life, both inside and out. Now, here's what I would do next, if you're asking, which if you're listening to this, I think you're asking. Honestly, this is what I did to release my first 18 pounds, and this is what I'm going to continue to do, okay? I have a manifestation-focused hypnotherapy audio library. It's called the Manifested Me Vault. You may have heard me talk about it or mention it here on the show before. Now, inside the vault, listen to this new session that's called Sculpting the Self, okay? It's a hypnosis for health, energy, and ideal weight. It's basically a subconscious mind workout. That's what I designed it to be. Because in that session, we go in, we calm your nervous system so that your subconscious mind is open and ready and receptive. Then you get to try on your ideal body, like slipping into an outfit, okay? We take off the snowsuit and we put on what you want to put on, right? We future pace it so that those aligned decisions become your new normal. and we clear out all that old programming, all the excess, the shame, the judgment, the outdated stories, the voice that isn't yours. And then we replace it with new, empowering patterns. And when you do this work, you find yourself feeling calmer around food. You'll feel lighter, both emotionally and physically. And you actually want to nourish, hydrate, and move because it just feels good, not because you're forcing it. It feels like you. That's what I want it to feel like. It feels like you. We all know those people that it's just like they don't even question. They don't even question like eating healthy or, exercising because that's just who they are. You get to feel that way too. So if I were you, I'd join the vault. I'd press play on the Sculpting the Self session tonight or do it on a gentle walk. Again, remember, eyes open, safety first. And I would challenge yourself to listen to it 5 times this week. Okay? And after each listen, I want you to write down one sentence. Write, today manifested me chose ... fill in the blank. And then I want you to celebrate one micro win. One time that you aligned yourself to manifested you and you did what she would have done. You chose what she would have thought it chose. You ate what she would have ate. You thought what she would have thought. You did something that was a vibrational match to her because that's how you teach your brain to repeat what's working. And of course, if you want to go deeper, what's really nice is that you can stack this session with a few of my other favorites in the vault. I mean, there's so many sessions that go along with manifesting, releasing weight. There's the tapping into manifested me session. There's the manifesting health session. There's the building positive momentum session, which we know is very helpful based on what I just said. There's the pattern breaker session. I mean, there's really so many sessions that just beautifully support physical transformation that you can check out in the vault. And you have access to all of them as long as you're a member. So as a little sort of thank you for being here and for being patient with me and welcoming me back after the baby, I've got a gift for you, which I'm excited about. If you want to join the vault, if you want to do this work, use the code MMV. That's MMV, like M&M V 72. I'll link it in the show notes. It's MMV 72, and you get 50% off every month you remember the vault. But the code is only available for the next 72 hours. So you're going to find that code and you're going to find the link to it in the show notes. Take advantage of that. It'll help you get on your way. I just want you to know that I am cheering you on every step of the way. I am walking this walk right alongside you, literally on my treadmill. I'm walking with you. And I can't wait to see your manifested self just shine through. She's already there. We want to see her. So until next time, keep choosing the thoughts that choose you, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
I don't know.